is here. God is here, and we can feel that, especially when we have beautiful music like that. So this morning I was driving here, and it always catches me off guard. Every road was blocked. Every road. Everywhere I turned, I had to turn around, and I was already running a little late this morning, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know my way because the roads were all blocked. Finally, I found a road where there was a race or a walk going on, and so they had all the roads blocked off for people to walk. And I found a road where there was a police officer letting one car at a time go in between, and I get through, and then my GPS is all screwed up because it's like, no, go back, turn around. And I kept thinking, I don't know my way. I'm like, wait a minute. My talk title today is I Am the Way. I'm like, okay, I am the way. I am the way. I got here. It was all fine. It worked out, but whew, that was a little tricky. So last week we started the series on Unity Basic Principles. I think it's important for us to re-examine, to look at where are our beliefs? What are Unity teachings? Are we in the right place? Is this a center that resonates with what we value, what we believe? And so we're doing this series, 5 basic principles, so that you can discern that for yourself. Are you in the right place? Whether you've been here whether you're new and it's all new to you, or you've been coming a long time, it's always good to just get a refresher on where are we? What does Unity teach? And Unity teachings have been Unity teachings for a good 100+ years, so they may have evolved, but not necessarily changed. And so the first principle that we talked about last week is God is. God is. God is here in this sanctuary. God is. There's only one power, one presence in the universe, and that is Spirit. God, divine mind, divine intelligence, the universe, the field, the energy, whatever you want to call it, there's just one power, one presence. And it permeates everything. It's everywhere present, everywhere in totality, including in us. It's all that is. And so it's important to get that, because the second one is, and we are that. That divine spark, that divine presence, that love's presence, that God is us. And maybe it's hard for you to say, I am God. But you are. I am God. I am Christ. I remember when I had to first say that and taking classes at Unity Village, and I am Christ. It didn't feel right because of my upbringing. There's only one begotten Son, right? And that's Jesus. That's not what we teach in Unity. We teach that the only begotten Son is the Christ, the divine idea of humankind, the pattern for potential perfection. Is how we are made, the blueprint for humankind. And so this second Unity principle is that we are that. If God is everywhere, then God is us. It can be really hard to take that in, especially if you grew up, as I did, Catholic. No, that's not, how could you say that? Blasphemy. We were created in the image of God, with all the potential, all the attributes that we associate with God, with goodness, with love, with peace, with joy, with wisdom, all of that. That's us. We have all of that within us. Instead, a lot of times we want to create God in our image. We want to make God a judging, angry, keeping score kind of God that's looking down on us and punishing us and rewarding us when we behave well, but punishing us when we don't. And that's just not Unity teaching. You can believe that if you want to, But that's not unity teaching. Unity teaching is that we were not born into original sin, we were born into original blessing. That we are innately good. That there's not some God in the sky, an old white dude with a long white beard that is judging us. It's just not a unity teaching. That's not the God. That is the God I grew up with, but that's not the God that I believe in now. The force or the energy or the field of this goodness that is always wins if you take a step back and see the big picture. But we are that. We are that God. We are that divine being. We are fully human, fully divine, and that's a hard paradox to hold. Mostly we see the human in everyone else and not the divine. Or we see only the human in ourselves and we judge ourselves. Martha Smock has a great little article in this book, Fear Not. Pat maybe ordered some more. I just told her I really liked it. I just bought it in the bookstore last week. And it says, one of the little articles is, I am the way. I am the way. I am the way. Most of us will pray, God, show me the way. This morning I was like, show me the way to get to Columbine. Everything's blocked. And we get blocked a lot. But I am the way. You want more happiness? I am the way to happiness. I am the way to peace. I am the way to joy. I am the way to love. I am coming from that Christ self, that divine self within us. That is the way to all the riches and all the fruits of Spirit. In her book, The 5 Principles, Ellen Davenport, and I think there's more on these on order too, talks about how when she first learned this, and I felt the same way, if there's no God outside of me for me to pray to, then I'm praying to myself and we're in big trouble. How is that going to work? But we come to a knowing, a certain knowing, when we practice this, I am. I am, which comes from the book of Exodus with Moses, and he was talking to the burning bush, right? I don't believe it wasn't a real external burning bush. I think he was on fire with a passion for his own knowing of who he was. A fire that inflames but doesn't consume. That's the passion within us when we come into this awareness that we are divine, fully divine. Able to do what Jesus said, you can do all that I do and more. When we come into this awareness, when we allow ourselves to hear that, to see it, to feel it, to express as it, we are fully divine. And so Moses asks, this voice that he's hearing, I think he was hearing it within him, not with his ears, but with his heart. What do I call this? And the voice said, I am that I am. I am. I am the way. To bring all life alive in us. We have the capacity for it, but so many times we're not aware of it, or we say no to it, or we hear guidance and we say, oh, I don't want to do that. That's scary. The Spirit always has our back, our front. It's Spirit inside, not a spirit out here. Spirit's everywhere. But I read this article in Spirituality and Health, last month's issue, and it's by Kevin Anderson, and he talks about the small I self and the big I self. that we have a small I self that gets involved in all the drama and all the suffering and all the pain and all the worry and anxiety and all that human stuff. And then we also have a big I self, which is capable of stepping back and observing it. That we are capable of doing that, of controlling that small I self. The ego part of us, which we don't ever want to say the ego is bad. We need the ego, but we also are more than that, more than the ego. And Kevin Anderson is a psychotherapist, and he says sometimes when he's in with a client, he has, remember those light bright machines where you put the pegs in different colors and create pictures? And he says sometimes he'll turn it on and he has it with a capital I. And he tells his clients, look at all these colors. It's beautiful, these colors. But behind all these colors, all these expressions, all these different things that make up the one is one light bulb. We are all one. There's one light and individualized expressions of that light, just like we talk in Unity so often about that we are individualized expressions of God, like a wave is to the ocean. The wave has all the elements of the full ocean, but it's an expression of the ocean, and you can't take the ocean out of the wave. We are individualized expressions of the one. We're all one. And he talks about how Thomas Merton says that to find true joy, we have to release ourselves from the prison that is the small I self and come into the splendor and the glory of living from that capital I self, that big I self, that divine self. So many times something gets stuck in our way. Like I had obstacles this morning. We get obstacles in our way. I am the way to happiness, but I get stuck. I talked about a couple weeks ago when I was on sabbatical and how I kept replaying these stories in my head. I had a little anger. And I realized when I realized it was these same old stories, that they were a level of forgiveness that I hadn't granted yet, hadn't given myself, hadn't given the other people involved. And I had a whole lot of self-doubt and not so much self-love. And so I mentioned that I kept blessing and forgiving and meditating and trying to send love to it all. And it takes time. It takes practice. And then about maybe 4 or 5 weeks later, I had a willingness. I had a real willingness to release this, to let go of those stories, to come into a place of love. And I had a dream. And in my dream, I'm hugging the people that were involved in the situation. And there was nothing but love there. Nothing but love. And I kept going back and hugging them some more. And I woke up remembering that dream, and that's all I felt was the love. That's all I felt. I felt this great sense of, I tried to bring back the other feelings. They were gone. When you have a real willingness to release it, and sometimes you have to work it. Sometimes maybe it happens for you really fast, not for me. I have to practice it. It's completely gone. Nothing but love. Nothing, to this day, nothing but love. Love for myself, love for the other people involved, and no more, well, maybe a little more self-doubt. That's kind of a little more harder to work on, but really not nearly as much. So when we were at when I was at the Mary Magdalene retreat in New York, one of the meditations, Megan Watterson did a meditation with us, a soul voice meditation, and she said, in this meditation, when we get to the part where the second breath, I want you to think of an I am statement. I am. What is calling to you? What is longing to express? What is longing to be shared? What is longing to be taken in and embodied? And my initial thought was, as we went into this meditation, I never get anything that fast. But I'm willing to hear it. And so we went into this meditation, and clearly, with the second breath, I got, I am standing. I am standing. And the meaning I gave that is, I am standing. I am not kneeling, begging for someone's approval. I am not lying down as a doormat. I'm not sitting, hoping somebody will love me. I am standing. I am standing in my power. I am standing. And so I keep using that affirmation. Anytime I feel a little bit of jitters or self-doubt, like before a Sunday service, I am standing here. I am. I am. And so whatever it might be for you, I am what is true for you. Think about what might be true for you. And sometimes there's something blocking it, and that takes some time too. To understand, to get clear, to be aware, and identify what might be blocking you from expressing from that place of love. Last week, I mentioned this book, the Lazarus Blueprint, which is great, and I told you that it's 6 steps to healing and inner peace. And the first step was turn away. When a problem presents itself, don't go rushing into the problem and make the problem bigger than it is. Turn away. And await readiness. Await till you're ready to work on it. Await till you have clear guidance on what is yours to do. The second step of the Lazarus story is Jesus comes to Bethany. He's greeted by, remember, he had waited a couple days. Lazarus was ill. He comes to Bethany to see his friend Lazarus, and his sister Mary comes up to him and says, "You're too late. My brother's died. If only you had been here." How many times do we say that to ourselves? If only I had done this. If only he had said this. If only this hadn't happened. Could have, would have, should have. If only. And Jesus pays no mind to that. He says, "Take me to the tomb." And so they go to the tomb, and there's a big stone in front of it. And he says in a clear voice, remove the stone. Remove the stone. Not getting into any drama about what happened in one of the other sister, Martha, and a whole bunch of people that had come to celebrate his life and mourn with them, with the sisters Mary and Martha are there. And Martha's like, but there's going to be a smell. There's a stench. He's been dead 4 days. 4 days. So every story in the Bible, unity teaches, can be a lesson for us, a metaphysical lesson for us. If we take every character and apply it to us, what does that mean to us? Jesus, of course, is our I am. Mary and Martha, those thoughts that come to us and, what if only. Oh, you can't do that. Don't we have those voices in our heads that tell us, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that. There'll be a smell. 4 days, it takes time. But Jesus says, remove the stone. Remove the stone. Remove that obstacle that's standing in the way of what wants to come out. What wants to come out of you? What part of your life is longing to express but it's being blocked by something? The way is the I am. The I am. Sometimes we have to spend a little time really looking at what is the stone for me. Maybe it's unforgiveness. It was for me. I didn't realize. I thought I had forgiven. I thought I had healed. But clearly, I had some stories that were playing out that were showing me I hadn't. Not all the way. So what is it for you that's blocking that life that wants to come out of the cave, that part of your life that wants to live? Remove the stone. The first step is identifying it and becoming aware of it. And then the willingness to remove it. The willingness to step into that I am, step into that divinity, step into that Christ that you are. We tell our kids every Sunday, we see the Christ you are. I see the Christ you are. We didn't come here to live mediocre lives. We came here to live abundant, joyful, full, peaceful, loving lives. And you deserve that. We all deserve that. So remove the stone and find the way, the I am way. Get your small self out of the way so that you can find the way. The way is in, and the way is you. Thank you. Peace be with you.